All right, let's talk about something we all deal with every single day, our social value. You know, that invisible currency that kind of dictates how people see us and treat us? We're going to dive deep into the psychology behind it, and you might be surprised to find out that some of your best intentions, well, they might be doing the exact opposite of what you think.
So let me just throw this out there. What if being nice, being strong, being that person everyone can always count on is actually costing you respect? I know, it sounds completely backwards, right? We're taught that being available, being funny, being independent, that these are all good things. But what if they're actually making people value you less? It's a challenging idea for sure, but it's exactly what we need to unpack today.
Okay, first up, let's talk about something called the availability trap. This is the myth we all fall for. If you're always there for people, you'll be indispensable. It makes sense on the surface, but as we're about to see, psychology tells a very, very different story. To get a handle on this, let's picture someone, we'll call them Sam. And you probably know a Sam. Heck, maybe you are Sam. This is the person who replies to texts in like 2 seconds flat. You ask for a favor, Sam says yes before you even finish the sentence. They believe this is what makes them a great friend, an essential part of the group. But here's the fascinating thing about how our brains are wired. We instinctively, automatically place more value on things that are scarce. Think about it. Diamonds, limited edition sneakers, you name it. So when you're always available like Sam, you're not teaching people that you're reliable. You're teaching them that your time and your energy are guaranteed. It stops being a gift and starts being a utility, kind of like tap water. It's just always there. And what happens to anything that's guaranteed? Well, eventually it gets taken for granted. It's just human nature. Your constant availability becomes so predictable that it loses its impact. People stop seeing the effort because it's just expected. Your social currency, the value of your time and attention, gets hit with massive inflation. Suddenly, it's not worth as much. And this chart right here, it just lays out the paradox perfectly. Look at the bar on the left. You've got high availability, you're always there, and what happens? The perceived value is way down. But now look at the other side. When you introduce a little strategic scarcity, you're a bit more selective with your time. Boom! The value people place on you, the respect you get, it shoots way up.
The philosopher Nietzsche totally nailed it with this one. Things that are just handed to us, we don't really treasure them, do we? It's the things we have to earn that mean the most. So the big takeaway here isn't to be a jerk or ignore your friends. No way. It's about being intentional.
Now, this whole idea of hidden value doesn't just stop with our time. It applies to our words, too, especially humor. We tend to think of a good joke as a tool for connection, and it can be. But we have to challenge this myth that a joke is always just a joke, because sometimes it's a shield. I mean, seriously, think about it. Have you ever laughed along with something, but deep down, in your gut, it just felt off? Like there was a little sting behind the smile? That feeling is your intuition screaming that there's a hidden agenda at play.
And then you hear this classic line. Relax, I'm just kidding. Ah, the ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card. The second someone says this, the conversation flips. It's not about their comment anymore. Suddenly, it's about you being too sensitive. It's a shockingly effective way to dodge all accountability.
So, what's the game here? Why do people do this? Well, it can be a subtle way to control you by making you second-guess your own feelings. Like we said, it deflects all blame. It also protects the joker from any criticism. I mean, they didn't really mean it, right? It can also be a power move to gain social status. And finally, it's often a way to test your boundaries and see what they can get away with. Look, it really all boils down to intent. Genuine humor is all about connection. It's inclusive, it builds trust, it's about sharing joy. But manipulative humor, its goal is control. It's designed to plant doubt, to create guilt, or to put someone in their place. The goal isn't laughter, it's leverage. Okay, this brings us to our final big myth, the strength paradox. We're all fed this idea that the strongest people are these stoic islands who can handle absolutely everything on their own. But this idea of total self-sufficiency is not only unrealistic, it's actually completely counterproductive.
So why do we all say I'm fine when we're clearly not? Well, it usually comes down to some deep-seated fears. The fear of being a burden. The fear of being judged or seen as weak. For a lot of us, asking for help feels like losing control. And sometimes, let's be honest, we've been burned in the past. So we've learned it's just safer to keep it all inside.
So we have got to reframe this completely. Asking for help is not an admission of failure, it is a strategic move. It's you recognizing that your energy is a finite resource, and that bringing in reinforcements is the smartest, most effective way to solve a problem. That is what real strength looks like, knowing when you can't and shouldn't do it all alone.
So we've just dismantled 3 huge myths that can seriously devalue our social currency: the availability trap, humor as a shield, and the strength paradox. So now, the big question is, how do we start reclaiming our value intentionally? Let's boil it all down to the 3 realities we need to live by. First, your value is tied to scarcity, not being available 24/7. Second, with humor, intent is everything. Pay attention to whether it's for connection or control. And third, true strength isn't about isolation. It's about having the courage to be vulnerable and ask for help. So if you only take one thing away from this, let it be this. Your time, your focus, your emotional energy, that is your personal currency. It's finite and it's incredibly valuable. So stop giving it away to just anyone.
Start investing it where it will be respected and where it will actually generate a return.
And that really just leaves us with one last question to take with you. Every single day, you get to decide how to spend the most valuable currency you have. So after everything we've talked about, how are you going to invest it?